Hello lovely humans and welcome back to my channel.
Smile and wave, boy.
If you guys missed last week's video, it was the first 10 things that I shared with you guys that I had learned over the course of my 20s and early 30s, and I wanted to really just share the knowledge well.
Because knowledge is power!
I just didn't want to make it a crazy long video, so I'm going to link it down below. If you haven't seen it yet, start with that one. But for everybody else, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. We're going to share the next 10 things that I learned in my 20s that I really hope can bring you guys some help along the way, or even a laugh at my hot mess mistake.
I just know before this is over, I'm going to need a whole lot of serious therapy.
So we're moving on to number 11. The old cliche about actions speaking louder than words, it's true. Your friends are not going to remember how many times you told them that you wanted to go and socialize, but they are going to remember how many times you stood them up because you were like drowning in your studies, because my friends are still traumatized, let's be honest. Sorry guys, love y'all. What you physically do for people versus what you tell them, if those two things do not, I don't know why I'm missing my hands. If those two things do not match up, it's going to cause problems in your relationships.
You know, we're getting pretty sick of your attitude, Craig.
So if someone brings to your attention, hey, you say this, but you never do it, listen to them. It's important and it can really mess up some of your relationships. Same thing applies to relationships with your significant others. If they are always saying, oh, I love you so much, oh, you're so important to me, but then they treat you like a trash can, it doesn't matter if they're saying like, oh, I have issues and this is why, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter why they do it. If they're still continuing to do whatever the action is, please pay attention to those. It's the red flags that I missed in like every relationship in my early 20s. I do not want you guys to go through the same hell with like some absolutely horrible partnerships. Okay, don't do it. Actions are way louder than words. Always. I also want to encourage y'all to invest in your dreams. I have a dream. Don't just sit around wondering what if, and then eventually you're in your 60s going, man, all that stuff that I really wish I would have tried. I still really wish I would have tried it, but I didn't even try. Whatever your dreams are, assuming that it's something that is, you know, healthy and not toxic, obviously therapy's there for a reason, but assuming that it's a healthy dream and it's just something you're passionate about, if you're scared, that's okay. You can still take the time to invest in learning. Like, YouTube is something that is kind of along those lines for me. I really fell in love with editing, but I was like, dude, no one makes it on YouTube. That's insanely hard. And yeah, I'm finally monetized after like 2 years and it's freaking amazing. And don't get me wrong, I have yet to even receive my first check because it still takes forever to make anything into an actual income. But I found something that I love doing. I love getting on here every week when I have my life together.
That never happens.
And actually getting to talk with you guys and sharing everything about my weight loss journey and just things I've learned in life, and really just starting to build a community. That's something I've become passionate about. And if I had never taken the time to learn more about like editing and filming and how the heck to make a video, I would have missed all of it and never gotten to experience it. You're gonna have things in life that are absolutely terrifying. And as long as they're healthy, I wanna encourage you to take the risk and do it.
No risk, no reward.
You can still plan and go about it in a good way. Like, did I quit school and quit my job to go become a YouTuber? Absolutely not. I still have bills to pay. And isn't it ironic? But did I find a way to do it part-time and kind of enjoy it? And am I still growing my channel? Absolutely yes. It's okay to be scared, but do it anyways. It's a lot better than looking back and saying, oh my God, I never did that thing and I have so many regrets. This one might not apply to everybody, but it does apply to a lot of people. If there is something that you are very, very critical of in other people, I want you to take a little second to kind of be a little more introspective and consider that the thing that you are more critical of might actually be something about yourself that you're very insecure of or that you struggle with. Whatever that thing is, when you're like, wow, this really bugs me and people do this. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it's just a pet peeve. But sometimes those things that are at like the very core of who a person is, those are the things that you need to work on. And you're gonna be more critical of other people who have the same struggle simply because in your subconscious, it's like,
oh, I suck at this.
That is where therapy comes in. Start working on your stuff, okay? It's important.
Maybe I need to unpack this with my therapist.
Oh, that actually leads me to my next point. That is that therapy is freaking fabulous. If you are mentally well, let me just say, I'm very happy for you. But truth of the matter is that life, I'm like spitting everywhere in this video, I'm so sorry.
You're spitting all over me, man.
Truth of the matter is that life is gonna throw some curveballs at you, and there's gonna be times where you are not mentally stable. And even if you do feel mentally stable, Honestly, it's really nice to have a sounding board.
Run it by me again?
See how you come across to other people. Your therapist can also maybe point out some things that you might not have realized. You get that sounding board, you get that unbiased alternate perspective. Therapy is so, so important. I can tell you guys, if I had not been in therapy while I was in physical therapy school, I probably would have like thrown myself off the building, and I'm not really joking. That was the most mentally stressed I've ever been in my entire life. Grad school is no joke, and healthcare programs as a whole are just deranged with the crap that they put you through. But when things in life get rough, you need to have that person that you could kind of talk it out with. It is so, so important. I just want to like encourage you guys to reach out and find a therapist and maybe talk about some stuff. There are all kinds of options, and if you are on like a fixed budget, there are people that do sliding scale pay, and there's also sometimes state programs that can help you with that as well. I just want to encourage you guys to take control of your mental health. Also, that whole like stigma about men and like mental health and you have to be all like perfect and can't show emotion, it's garbage. Men need therapy too. Please know that that's important. I'm just throwing it out there in case you needed to hear that, okay? So go do therapy.
All right, I'm going.
So the next one is for my feisty people out there, which I most definitely was and probably kind of still am a wee bit. If you are in the middle of an argument and you really just want to rage at that person, if you are kind of like the hot-headed one in an argument, or you feel like you have somehow been wronged by the other person, sorry, my nose just got super stuffed up, hold on. So sexy. The joys of being sick last week, it's still struggling to end. Okay, so if you're the hot-headed one in an argument and you're like, okay, I just want to rage at this person, I am struggling, I just want to go off, but they're trying to tell you something about like, hey, you've wronged me in this way, or I feel this way, I want to encourage you guys to just pause for a second, take a step back, and instead of thinking just about how you are feeling, try to see it from their perspective. Because a lot of times we can say things completely like innocently without meaning to, that can really hurt someone's feelings. And that does matter because that resentment builds, especially if it's something that you're doing on the regular and you don't even realize that you are doing. We might need to take a second and say, hey, maybe I was kind of a douche canoe on accident this time. Maybe I need to look at myself and say, hey, why did I come across this way? And what can I do to improve myself and my communication skills so that I don't make someone that I love feel like that again? Because you're gonna make mistakes. It's really easy for me to just like snap at my husband if I'm frustrated. And sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I was just hungry and need to calm the frick down and need to apologize for being like a buffoon.
Wow, the tension level out here is unbelievable.
Because that whole hangry thing, yeah, that's me. Sorry, hubby. Love you. Next one is particularly in regard to your mental and physical health. No one is going to advocate for you more than you. If you need coverage for something with your insurance, you need to take the time to call that insurance company and go to war with them if necessary. If your doctor is not listening to you, you either need to speak up about what it is, especially if you are heavy and your doctor is trying to automatically blow whatever the issue is off as being heavy. Being heavy does cause medical issues, but it is not the only thing, so just make sure you have a doctor that sees you as a person rather than just an overweight person. I had a lovely professor who referred to all of her obese patients as chubby wubbies. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's not the kind of person that I want to go see as one of those chubby wubbies. Really, really glad I don't have to see her ever again. The rest of our professors were amazing. She was not. Yes, I'm still salty about it. Basically, no one is going to advocate for you more than you. You're the patient. You know your body better than anyone else. That does not mean that you Google something and just assume that Google has an MD and knows what's going on, but it does mean that it's okay to say, hey, I understand that you're telling me this. I still have concerns in this, and this area. This needs to be addressed. What can we do about that? And come up with a plan with your doctor. Your doctor's automatically writing you off. It is 100% okay to get a second opinion. Same thing goes for if your insurance is not wanting to cover something. It might not always work to get it covered because insurance is a hot mess in America, but definitely fight for the coverage you need. If they're telling you like it can be covered but you don't need it, you need to tell them why you need it and get with your doctor, because a lot of times what is in their actual documentation and the wording is something that can help you get whatever the thing is that you need. It's super important. Also, school is overrated and hella expensive.
Also, I'm drowning in debt.
To give you guys an idea, like this is rough. I graduated PT school and I had to take out loans to cover living expenses for me and my husband because he was also a student. I am $146,000 in debt.
It's obscene. Obscene.
Yeah, that's fun. I'm really looking forward to October when I have to start paying on that. If you can go to school and you are blessed enough to not have to take out 1 million student loans, get it. Like, nail it. I also want to tell you guys though, especially if you're like fresh out of high school and you're like, oh my God, I have to go to college, but I don't know what the crap I want to do. It is okay to take some time to figure out what you want to do. There is nothing wrong with that. Don't ever let anyone make you feel like you are less. If you decide to go a non-traditional route or you decide to go to trade school, there are so many things that you can do with your life. Also, what you do with that degree, you might not even end up using that degree. If you think you want to go to school for something specific, take your time to research what specifically you can do with that degree and what the pay rate is, because it matters. Like, am I completely happy that I still did baking initially, even though I basically made like 12 bucks an hour for a good long time? Yeah, I loved it. If I had started in occupational therapy, I can tell you I was not mature enough at the time to get through the program. I would have failed out 100% because that was like 18-year-old me. Like, I was not prepared for the amount of crap that they would put on you for like healthcare programs. By the same token, I do wish a little bit that I had taken the time to research what kind of income I could actually have and what kind of job stability. Like, what kind of shifts are you going to be working? All of that stuff is really important to research before you actually take the plunge and like go into a ton of debt. Also, if you are like, what the crap do I want to do? It's okay to take some time off from work. Please know that your future is no one else's. It doesn't matter what your parents want from you. It doesn't matter what your friends expect of you. You're the one who has to live with your decisions for the rest of your life. So take some time and figure out what you want to do. Following along the same line, burnout is a beast, especially if you spend like a bajillion years in school, but also burnout in the workforce, especially in America. It is real. Being expected to basically work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, possibly with some overtime, then wait through traffic and have like maybe 2 or 3 hours to yourself before you have to go to bed.
Because it's a scam.
That's honestly a completely bizarre concept. Like, it is rough. Please feel free to look into alternate options that you can do or find what works for you. There are different kinds of job sets that are going to have longer hours on one day, but you work less days a week. There's different types of jobs you can do where you don't necessarily have to work 40 hours a week, though those admittedly are a little sparse. Find what works for you, because if you get really burned out, it is really hard to recover from. And I say this as someone who is very, very burned out from school and still needs like a solid 2 months off, but you know, we have bills to pay. Just take some time, do your planning, it's important. In the same line with planning, my very last thing that I want to share with you guys is to start investing early. Educate yourself about money. You know, if you end up married and your spouse wants to handle the finances, make sure you've talked that out and have a good idea of what that entails, because saving for retirement, it is huge. It is really hard to do, especially given that, you know, like in America, if you live out here, you know, sometimes we be living paycheck to paycheck. Same thing, even if you can put maybe 25 bucks a month away in that retirement account, it really will keep building. There's a couple of authors I would really, really recommend checking out. I always say her name wrong. I think it's Suze, not Susie, but Suze Orman. There's a book called The Money Book for the Young, Broke, and Fabulous. The interest rates are not going to be accurate because it's a little bit older, but the book itself walks you through a lot of really difficult things that you need to know as a young adult. I would also take the time to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad's a good one. Robert, I think it's Kiyosaki, I forgot his last name, something with a K. And then anything by Dave Ramsey. In terms of learning more about finances, I would highly recommend. All of them have very different money handling and investment mindsets, but it's something that you can learn about to find what works for you. Because same thing, no one's going to be a bigger advocate for you than you, and that includes saving for your future and preparing. I know we went from like a relationships to finance, but there's a lot of things that happen in your 20s. I really want to like spare you guys some of the heartache and struggles that I had in my 20s.
You're right. There's a lot of them.
So if you guys hung out for both these videos, let me just say you're absolutely wonderful and I love you guys. And I hope that you have the best week ever. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure to not only like, but subscribe down below as well. And I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Hopefully a little more weight loss related this time. Bye bye.